I am doing steps 11 and 12 together, and the reason being is that so many of the pieces are identical. This one deals with the starboard side, and this one deals with the port side. And we've got the 8 little things that look like torpedoes for the mine sweeping. There's 2, 4, 6, 8, and I've got them. Then I thought, okay, I'm going to do L6s. And L6, well, it's not too clear what it's supposed to be. I blame Trumpeter for this. I'm going to zoom in here and show you. But bottom line is, I cut 2 of them in the wrong place. It's supposed to be 4. So I've got some little tiny pieces here I've got to try and glue back together. Now, it wouldn't be a big deal. Nobody would notice if I didn't, have them on the ship, but I would know. And really, building this model is just sort of to give me something to do here. So it doesn't really matter what I do, just as long as I keep busy. So anyway, I'm going to zoom in and show you what I accidentally did here. These pieces are just so tiny, honestly. Now the L-22s, which are these torpedo-like things, well, they're pretty obvious. Can't make a mistake there. However, these L6s are supposed to look like this. And I accidentally cut the first 2 wrong. I cut these pieces off of these round sections right here. I gotta see now if I can't somehow glue these back on in the right place. I'm not going to make the mistake I did the day before yesterday of spending a lot of time poking and fiddling, and I'm just going to go ahead and try and glue them on, and then I'll show you afterwards. But I feel kind of stupid about that but I mean, here's the picture. I mean, that is not clear. That's not clear at all. That's the L6. It's terrible. How are you supposed to be able to tell what that is? You will remember this picture. It clearly showed the walkthrough on the breakwater. Well, it turns out it also shows this little part. Well, as it turns out, it's not so little. It's some kind of light, I think. Or maybe it's some sort of a loudspeaker. But I really think it's some sort of a heavy-duty light. Yeah, it looks complicated, whatever it is. Okay, so when I said I wasn't going to show it, I heard this big moan of disappointment. I thought, okay, already I'll show it. Maybe I'll cut out the dead spots like right now when I'm trying to pick up this little piece here. Okay, now it goes. Huh. I think I got it. Okay, that first one went unexpectedly well. We'll try the second one. Just don't want to be getting overconfident here. You know what? Maybe I got my touch back. Okay, I'm not going to mess with that now. Just going to leave it for a while. Then I'll try and snip them off the sprue properly. Now I want to explain why it is I thought I had to snip that round piece off of the L6. We need 2 L52s right there. Now you see this little round thing right here? There's a lot of them on different parts. Well, they get snipped off, and that's what threw me. And it wasn't until after I snipped 2 of them off I realized, hey, wait a minute, that's supposed to represent a light or something. Anyway, we need 2 of these. Now here I have another really good example of where I could make a mistake. I need 4 L33s. They're little bollards or something, and or bollards, and they've got this piece right here attached to them. Now from the other side, this piece and this piece look identical. Now you're going to notice there's still a little bit of flashing on those. They are extremely hard to trim. I usually don't even try. And here's the little piece that we don't need. Notice if I turn this over, if I can, that is. Well, anyway, you get the idea. They look so much alike. Okay, now we need 2 L27s. Now we are on sprue J, and we need a J46. It's this little piece right here. We actually need 2 of them. Now I know there's only one there, but there's 2 J sprues. Now I have learned the hard way to always hang on to the little piece, because if you don't, it can sometimes go flying out of sight on you. Okay, now there will be a tiny little bit of flashing there that I'm going to want to sand off. Now, a piece like this is actually pretty easy to sand the flashing off. Now these could well be the smallest pieces that I've done so far. Now, except for these 2 L6s that we have to snip off and add to this, all the pieces that we need for here are in these 3 little tins. And actually there's not that much to paint. Well, these are already painted from like a month ago. And I'm just thinking that maybe what I should be doing is going ahead here to the stern and try and find some of the pieces that we need for the stern, so that I can do the spraying all at once. Otherwise I'm setting up to spray 2 or 3 times when maybe I can do it all at once. And here's some more pieces for the stern. I do believe, though, that once we pass page 16, or step 16 rather, I think we're actually going to be moving on to the superstructure. And these pieces here, as far as I can tell, will all be done on the superstructure. So I think that step 16 is the last for the deck. So I'm just going to go ahead here and see if I can find the pieces for 13 and 14. D2. Here's D. We've already got 1 for some reason. I'll get 2 here. I'll trim it properly later. And as long as we're dealing with the D sprue, yeah, it kind of looks like its picture. Now we're back to D2 here, and I was starting to trim off this little part of the sprue here, this round piece on the top. And if you'll notice, on both sides of the part that I have to trim off, there's, in other words, the part that I have to trim is sort of recessed, and on both sides of it, there's a little piece of detailing that would be very easy to accidentally remove. Now, I don't know why they designed the sprue that way. It would have been easier, I would have thought, if they had this sprue coming out, the side or something, somewhere where you could snip it off flush. Anyway, we'll manage. Okay, what I've done here is I've snipped it off flush with those little protruding parts that are on each side of it. And I'm going to try something different here. What I'm about to try, I have not tried before, at least on plastic. Okay, now this is probably going to go flying across the room. On the other hand, it might not if I'm very, very slow and careful here. How do you turn this on? Well, I think if I take my hobby knife and clean those burrs out of there, it should look not too bad. Well, it did work. But in all likelihood, I won't be doing that again. And here's the other little piece. They're considerably bigger than what we've been removing. Now we need 2 L28s and 2 L29s. We've already used those on the bow. Guess if I had looked ahead, I could have snipped these off and painted them all at the same time. Now I'm hoping that I didn't already point this out when we did the bow, but you notice on these two pieces, this one and this one, how the sprue is attached to the little peg that is supposed to go in a hole on the hull of the ship. And it would be very easy to accidentally snip the peg off. Okay, I think we got it. Oh, it's kind of funny, I don't remember actually having this problem when I did the bow. But then my rememberer isn't working as good as it used to. But anyway, I didn't snip them off. All of the pieces now on step 13 have been removed and trimmed and ready for painting. And a few off of 14. But before we wind this episode up, let's take a look at these pieces here that we glued on with the extra thin. Yeah, just see how they should have, the extra thin should have all evaporated out of the plastic by now. It's actually several hours since we glued those on. So let's carefully snip them off and see how they compare to the originals. Might take a little bit of trimming. And try the other one. Yeah, I'll just file those off. Okay, the two that you're looking at, they're the originals. And these are the ones that we just fixed. I think they look pretty good. Now you notice there's a little bump on the top of the light of each one. I had to be careful not to accidentally file that off. Anyway, I can hardly tell the difference. Well, actually I can. But you won't notice it unless you look real close. And nobody's going to be doing that. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.